Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the cottage kitchen. I love the challenge of cooking this time of year because yes, it's these grand parties and there's all kinds of things going on, but at the same time in the kitchen, this is where things take a little bit of a turn. They turn towards slow cooked things and braised things and dishes that simmer on the stovetop or inside of the oven. I'm gonna make a chuck roast today and I wanted to bring you along. This is sort of a special one because it's made with all of these beautiful aromatics and it's simmered in white wine, which is quite a bit different than the red wine and tomato sauces that we're used to. I do have this incredible dry aged chuck roast from Porter Road. Dry aged meat can often be hard to find in your standard grocery store. The reason for this is that the meat will typically just go directly into a package onto the shelf because it's fastest, so they're able to turn it around faster. To dry age meat takes time, but what happens is it condenses all that flavor down while the meat is dry aging, so it has 21 days to develop flavor, to relax, and the taste is absolutely divine. So when I really want to showcase a piece of meat, I shop Porter Road. I'll put their information below the video. They're an incredible resource for dry aged meat like this. By the way, dry aged steaks, absolutely delicious. This is a chuck roast. So this is a more economical cut that needs to be slow cooked, which is how we're gonna cook it today. So get your little nose out of there. Do you see him? You can smell it. Go on. Go get out of here. Okay, I've got my chuck roast and it's all patted dry with paper towels. So I'm going to season it just with salt. You gotta remember, it looks like I'm putting a lot of salt on here, but there's a big chunk of meat inside and I want that salt to go all in. The dry aging has done a lot of the work for us, but even still, and this is what I love. It's all, look, it's got these little kind of, not gristly bits, but it's not like necessarily a beautiful looking piece of meat, right? It's got these little wonky pieces, but something magical happens in the oven. Something magical happens when you slow cook meat. We're gonna take our time, but it's only gonna take us about 5 minutes of time to put this in the oven for later. So salt and pepper. And we are going to take the time, I've got a Dutch oven here on the stove. We are going to take the time to sear the meat. Searing the meat sort of creates this outside shell of sorts that helps to hold all the flavors of the meat together. So even though it's going to go soft and tender and like fall apart on your fork, we want to get that sear because it helps hold that moisture in. And it gives us flavor. It's gonna brown a little bit in the pan. One of the ways that we're going to help create a sauce in our pan and to help our meat sear is just with a little bit of flour and literally just dusting it on, like so. Flour mixed with our wine and mixed with our meat juice is gonna give a beautiful little gravy. Haven't decided yet for supper if I'm gonna serve this roast with a big old mess of grits or rice. We'll see what Stu's in the mood for later. I'm thinking grits maybe. Because we're starting with such a beautiful piece of meat already, this is literally all the prep that I need to do. So come on over to the stove and let's give it a sear. Any kind of fat that you use is going to help to spread the heat evenly. So it's really important to add some in here so that we can get that heat evenly over the roast. I think you guys can probably hear my dogs. They are just having a good old day. I think they just smell the meat and think they're gonna get something special. Now, this dish is gonna be about all those gorgeous aromatics that we can add to it, because those are going to amplify too as it simmers in the oven. So I've got an onion, of course. I've got some beautiful fennel and a bunch of other stuff over there that doesn't require any chopping. So while my roast browns, this is a good place to start. Now you can really cut these any which way you want, depending on if you're gonna eat them at the end. Sometimes aromatics are used just for that, just to flavor the meat. Other times you can take all of the sauces and bits of aromatics that are left and whiz them together in a blender and have a really incredible sauce. My boys will often come and just pick the onions out of the pot and just eat them whole as they are because they're delicious. See, they're feeling spicy today. Okay, so that was my onion prepped. Now we'll do our fennel. I planted fennel in my garden. Man, it was probably, I'll save that, 6 years ago now. And I absolutely cannot get rid of it. It is the happiest plant in my garden. It grows everywhere, constantly. And if you've ever grown fennel, you know that its roots are incredibly strong. It's so difficult to dig out. So half the time, I don't even bother. I just say, okay, well, we're having a little wild fennel farm here, but there's always fennel to harvest, even through the winter time. It's amazing. Okay, good things already. You can smell it already, can't you? So in addition to our onions and our fennel, I've got some of the last of the thyme from the garden, a couple of bay leaves from my tree, a few sprigs of rosemary. So all in all, this is gonna add a ton of fragrance and just earthiness to our roast. It's gonna make everything taste that much better. And I've also got some white wine set aside as well. That should be pretty much all we need to make something incredibly fantastic, except for more pepper and a little bit of garlic. One of my favorite things about making recipes like this is oftentimes I'll pull something like a chuck roast out of the freezer, not fully sure what I'm going to make out of it even, knowing I can make something that can just hang out in the oven all day. So if we've got a busy day or company coming, it's just one less thing that I have to think about right before dinner time. And then I let the rest of the menu sort of form itself. So if I feel like making rice, I'll make rice. You could make roasted potatoes. You could make polenta. You could just have it with a salad. So lots of different ways that this meat can sort of go out to your table and find itself depending on where you find yourself on any given day. I'm not gonna bother with chopping the garlic. Just give it a little peel. I can smell my roast now. I'm gonna give it a quick flip. By the way, we don't normally do this here on our channel, but I'm gonna put this exact recipe that I'm making today right below the video so that you can grab it and print it and duplicate it in your own kitchen if you're feeling so inspired today. Over the past 7 years, we've also been building our online cooking community, and we have hundreds of members now that are taking advantage of our over 430 recipes that we've published over the last 7 years. Each of those recipes also has an instructional video just like this. So if you're needing more community, more support, more education, or just more inspiration in the kitchen, I'm gonna put information on how you can join in our cooking community right below the video as well. We would love to welcome you in because it's really delicious inside the community. Our roast is seared and it's fragrant and it's welcoming and it's giving me all the beautiful winter feels. So I'm going to tuck my onions in right alongside it. We'll tuck the fennel and garlic bulbs in as well. Okay. And our sprigs of thyme, rosemary. So one pot wonder. This is what I love about just slowly braised dishes. We can do this work early on in the day, and we get to smell meat and white wine all day long, which is exactly what I want to smell. All that's left to do now is add in some liquid. The liquid, this is 3 cups of wine. It will most likely come about halfway up the roast. It's gonna create a gravy with that little bit of flour and all those aromatics. It's gonna cook down. All the meat juices are going to go into the wine. The wine is going to go into the meat, and we're just gonna have a beautiful little party here right in this pot. So it's gonna go into a fairly hot oven for just a few minutes until it comes up to temperature. Then we'll turn it down. Low and slow is the name of the game with a chuck roast. Luckily, with that dry aging that we talked about, a lot of that work has sort of already been done. The meat has already sort of relaxed, but even still, a chuck roast is a very used muscle. And so to get it really tender, we wanna go low and slow. I'll put specifics on oven temperature and timing in the recipe that's right below the video. Our beautiful chuck roast has been in the oven for, I don't even know, 4 or 5 hours. The whole house smells good and we're hungry. It's time for supper. So I cooked some polenta. That was the starch of choice on the side today. And then just quickly roasted some kale and cabbage. So we have a little veg, a little forage to go with our beautiful meat here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? All that we needed was a few ingredients and a little bit of patience and a little bit of time. I'm feeling like tonight we're just gonna have these beautiful aromatics, the fennel, the onions, some of the herbs that have cooked off into the meat, just right alongside. And then, you know, this is all just beautiful wine and meat juice. And that's gonna go right over the top, which is why I'm serving them in these bowls so we can catch all of that goodness. Don't forget, I'm gonna put this recipe right below the video so you can print it out and try it in your own kitchen. If you want access to so many more recipes like this, then make sure you check out our cooking community. I'll put information below the video for that as well. In the meantime, buon appetito.